Channel, let's talk some Texans. I'm Cody. Stoots on the video. We've got plenty to get to with the Houston Texans. Each position group, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, you know what a position group is. I don't need to list them all because we're going to go over every single one of them in this video. And do we feel better or worse than when the preseason started, when training camp got going? Of course, we'll have your comments in between as well. Exciting stuff going on the channel. Plenty of stuff to announce and talk about in the video today, tonight, however you're watching. If you're watching live, get in the comment section, have some fun. If you're watching this after the fact, appreciate you checking it out. The comments down below are always live and exciting. Thumbs up the video if you're enjoying the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we'll talk about some of the new links in the description. If you're a regular viewer, you know about what the links look like in the description, but there's some new links in the description that you need to pay attention to, so we will get to all of that and so much more. Appreciate everybody checking out the show. And hey, Brandon weighs in. Stoots, thanks for the stickers. Yeah, Brandon wanted some stickers. He sent me an email, and I was able to get him some stickers. If you want some stickers, some Era of Good Vibes stickers, you let me know. Send me your email, and I will send you some Era of Good Vibes stickers. It is indeed the Era of Good Vibes here with the Houston Texans. And there was a lot of fun stuff at the beginning of training camp. There was a lot of excitement with training camp, and we talked a ton about training camp and the preseason here on the channel. Let's talk a little bit about how our opinions, how our thoughts have changed on various positions, players, position groups since the training camp and preseason got going, and where we are here now, just over a week away from week one, as the Houston Texans will travel to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Let's start with the quarterbacks. What better place to start than the quarterbacks here on the team? Quarterbacks, better or worse? Better or worse than when the preseason got going? I'm a little bit better on this quarterback situation. I feel a little bit better about this quarterback situation than when the preseason got going. And here's why. CJ Stroud showed up from day one and very quickly was the best quarterback every day in practice. It took six practices before CJ Stroud was very clearly the best quarterback. I believe it was the 8th practice is when he started taking first team reps, and the team never looked back. And Stroud, over the course of training camp, took little steps. And that's one of the biggest things about CJ Stroud's 2023 season. There have to be little steps in between some of those big steps, and you don't want to take very many steps back. And he never took any steps back in the preseason. Yeah, the first few days, hey, CJ Stroud days, Ty days, Davis Mills days. But after that, CJ Stroud was off running, taking care of business, and was the best quarterback. Now, this is really a conversation about CJ Stroud and the potential excitement that is built for him based on the preseason. It's not necessarily a conversation about Davis Mills or Case Keenum, because nobody's excited if those guys have to play. Okay, it's not a good situation if those guys are having to play instead of CJ Stroud. So where Stroud was at the beginning of training camp, where he is at the end of training camp headed in the regular season, obviously it's better. It had to be better, and a guy like with his talent was going to be better. That's easy. The big thing is, did you feel like the ceiling changed? Did you feel like the ceiling adjusted for CJ Stroud based off of training camp, based off of the preseason games? And to me, it did a little bit. It got a little higher. It didn't get massively higher. CJ Stroud is not all of a sudden, to me, oh my God, he's the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, that's not how I feel about CJ Stroud. Favorite's Bijan Robinson. I believe he's going to win. But the roof raised a little bit watching Stroud in practice, watching the development, hearing him talk about it, hearing his teammates talk about him, and the growth that he showed from preseason game 1 to preseason game 2 to preseason game 3, as well as the practice growth that he showcased. So while I don't feel a whole lot better, I didn't feel bad about the quarterbacks going into the preseason. And I feel a little bit better about this quarterback group and specifically about CJ Stroud coming out of the preseason, training camp, and heading into the regular season. Where do you stand? That's where we get to the comments here throughout the course of this evening. Lots of different things to get to. Quarterbacks in the books, plenty of other positions to get to. Let's fire through some of these comments. El Mario, he's a constant. Appreciate you. Devin wants to know the email, codystoots@gmail.com. Send me an email. If you want stickers, I'll send you stickers. El Mario, how's practice this week? Okay, so light week of practice. They didn't do a ton. They had cut down days. Guys didn't work. They had a little light workout on Wednesday, so nothing too crazy. And the way they operate with practice now is we get to see about 20 minutes of it. So we get to see stretches, a little bit of individuals, and that's it. So practice reports are going to be few and far between. Primarily, it's an attendance opportunity. Who's there? Who's not there? Why might not they be there? And then we have the conversation from that standpoint. Yes, I'll send you some stickers in Illinois. In fact, I have some stickers to send out to someone in Illinois as well. If you're having a beverage this evening, salute to you. I'm having a little unnamed whiskey. It could be your whiskey right here. Curtis Podcast Network. What up, Cody? Excited for the season to finally start. Congrats on your stepping into your own space. Appreciate you, Curtis. Appreciate you. Seth, CJ has seemed like an absolute professional throughout this whole preseason. He has. And there's a lot of elements to CJ Stroud that I've really enjoyed paying attention to and going over and thinking about. And I really like his demeanor. His demeanor overall is very different from Deshaun Watson. And that's not to say like, oh, I believe he's better than Deshaun Watson or anything like that. The demeanor around CJ Stroud is still very excited to be an NFL quarterback. It's not, there's excitement. There's awe that he is at this spot. And then when he's talking about football, boom, it's a laser focus. He dials in. The demeanor from Stroud has been fun to watch and pay attention to. I love hearing him talk about football because you see the intense confidence that he possesses, especially, and I did a video about this, some of the comments that he had about his development. He's like, look, I'm accurate. This is why I'm accurate. I did all these drills. He's like, so I'm accurate. And then he kind of sheepishly says, I think I'm accurate. Maybe I don't know. So that the confidence is great. And then the checking of himself that, hey, I'm confident, but I haven't accomplished anything. Hey, I know I can do these things, but I haven't done these things on Sundays. And I know everything that I've done to this point is all about building and turning into a bigger and better version of myself. So I like his demeanor a lot compared to that of Deshaun Watson, which felt very reserved. Not to say that CJ Stroud is some like boisterous, crazy, like, cutting up with you, star quarterback in the, 80s movie. That's not really the vibe, but the enthusiasm for everything just seems to be at a different level with Stroud compared to Deshaun Watson. Appreciate the kind words, 713TX Skills. Jim Davies, where would you put CJ Stroud at this point right before the season versus Deshaun Watson at the same point? So the playmaking level that Deshaun possessed is a lot higher just because his ability to maneuver, you saw some of the arm talent and impressive. Like Deshaun's arm talent was undersold heading into the NFL, and then he got into the NFL and he could make all these throws. It just wasn't always exactly the best throw. Whereas Stroud, I feel like within a offense built around him, Stroud operates within the offense better than Deshaun did. I feel like it's a better offense, though. I mean, Bill O'Brien's goofy-ass, overcomplicated, acted like you had to have a Mensa membership to understand it offense versus a zone scheme offense that Bobby Slowick has been praised for being a teacher. He puts in a good base, and you build on that. Like, to me, that's where Stroud is ahead, is within the offense, executing what the offense does, feels like he's ahead of Deshaun Watson from that point. Sean, appreciate you weighing in. Marco, thanks for weighing in. All right, this is a funny one. We'll save this for the Q&A. We'll do Q&A at the end. We're going to go through all the position groups. We're going to try to fire through these at a pretty good pace. And quarterback spends a little bit more time, and I want to get some of the comments about CJ and talking a little bit about him. We'll go through some of these other position groups and better or worse. But quarterback, we've had a lot of discussion about the offensive line. That'll be good. There'll be some position groups that we can kind of fly through. Hey, I feel a little bit better. Hey, I feel a little bit worse. Hey, I feel the same. But I do want to spend some more time here on CJ. 713TX skills. I feel like we're pretty good about where CJ is right now. It's all up from here. Hopefully no setbacks. Look, even if there are setbacks, how you bounce back from the setbacks is an important aspect of being a franchise quarterback. Abigail, CJ's ceiling's tied to his receivers and the O-line. The most positive development is his work on the play. I am excited to see where Bobby Slowick can kind of dive into the playbook, get his hands dirty a little bit with some of the nuances and fun stuff once the regular season gets here. Stuff you wouldn't see in preseason, you wouldn't even see in training camp, but the stuff that they could put together on, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday ahead of a Sunday game and execute that and showcase that on Sundays. I am excited to see what Slowick has in his bag of tricks and see how deep that bag of tricks is. Rick, I'm not going to put the massage parlor comment up, but it's funny. Julius Harris, what's going on, Cody? I've been glad to see you're doing your own thing. Yeah, man, having some fun. Man, we're doing these, doing some really fun stuff on YouTube as well as the website, Houston Football, www.houfootball. A free article went out today. I see these people who have the free subscriptions, they unsubscribe, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? There's always going to be free stuff. And if you want to pay, it starts at just $7 a month. Okay. Talk a little bit about the running backs. I don't know that my running backs feeling has changed really at all. I felt good about Dameon Pierce, and I love that Devin Singletary was the backup for Dameon Pierce. And nothing that happened in training camp made me change anything big about my feelings about this running back situation. Now, Pierce being a little bit more involved in the passing game is something that's pretty interesting and could be a big development over the course of the season. Devin Singletary is one of the best backup running backs that this organization has ever had. And certainly when you think about the past few years where, Rex Burkhead and David Johnson, and the last 1,000-yard rusher this team had was Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde a few years ago, and then he gets in the offseason, wants a little bit too much money. Bill O'Brien's like, oh, man, forget you. Next thing you know, he's trading for David Johnson. So the Singletary-Pierce combo, excited to see them. Maybe my thought goes up a little bit on the running backs because running back 3 is a little bit better than I expected it to be. I believed it was going to be Dare Agumbawale. Dare is certainly on the team, but Mike Boone has played really well in the preseason, and him as running back 3 gives me a little bit of excitement should you have to play Mike Boone. The hope, though, I would think, is that you never have to play Mike Boone. And I'm pretty excited to see what Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary and the rushing attack have for this team. So quarterback up a little bit, running back pretty much the same with a tiny improvement. We'll get to some of the other position groups, but let's get to some of your comments. Devin, appreciate the super chat. If you guys have anything that you ever want to get to, the super chat can certainly get you to the front of the line. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Let's see. Go through some of these other comments. Devin, I think the more I hear Landry and some of the other guys talk a little bit more confident in the team and our chances against Baltimore, you see a way we can sneak out a victory. Absolutely. Absolutely. Baltimore with a new offense, iffy little rushing attack so far. One of their key defenders down with an injury. You can beat them. That's why you play the games. I mean, if it was just like, the Texans got no chance, go ahead and hand them an L. You play the games. We have seen this organization surprise someone who's supposed to kick their teeth in week one. It happened last year. Now it was a tie. It wasn't a win. Would you sign up for a tie in Baltimore? I would. That'd be pretty neat. Start the season 1-0-1 because you're going to beat the Indianapolis Colts in week 2. Be fun. A couple more things here about the running back. Keith Chaos, running back might be our biggest team strength. So I actually ranked on Houston Football, again, a free article on Houston Football, www.hou football. I ranked the position groups, and I had running back a little bit lower when I first started, but as I got moving, I started moving the running back rank up a little bit. So Rick asks about John Mechie, and this is a good question to talk about, and then we can talk about the wide receiver group. Was Mechie suited up today? I think Slowick is going to showcase Mighty Mouse and Mechie a lot against the Ravens. I do not believe – so first of all, there was no work. The football players have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, and then everybody goes back to work on Monday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I don't believe there was I don't believe there's going to be a heavy emphasis on John Mechie early on. I just don't. He hasn't showcased a ton. Nick Caserio made the comment earlier this week. He looks like a guy that hadn't played football in 18 months. And it just hasn't popped and jumped off the page yet for John Mechie. Now, Tank Dell, it's looked great from basically damn near day one. So been excited to see that. We'll get to the rest of the position groups, but I put the link in the comments if you want to jump in from a video standpoint. And I got Brandon wants to jump in. Brandon, what do you got for us, man?
Hey, what's up, Cody? How everything going?
Fantastic. We're hanging out on a Friday night talking some Texans. What can we do better?
Yeah, I got a little something, man. I'm sure you probably talked about it already, but can you hear me, Cody?
Yeah, I got you. What you got?
Just the whole asset management with Caserio right now. I mean, if he knew that Kenyon Green was really hurt in May, why would you put this guy out here in the preseason knowing his confidence level is really low right now, too? I mean, then he's out there getting burned by backups in the preseason, lowering his confidence, all while he's hurt, man. I don't get that part of it, Cody. I really don't.
The Kenyon Green situation is really weird because if he felt like he could play through it, and it seems like he thought he could, but they knew this was a potential element of the 2023 season. Like, hey, his shoulder could go at any moment. Why even start the season with him, I think is kind of what you're getting at. And I tend to agree to an extent, but also I feel like there was probably a part of Kenyon Green and a part of the organization that was like, I can do this, and as long as I can go, I hope I'm the best option. And if it's 9 weeks of me and then you finish the season with somebody else, maybe we can maximize those 9 weeks till my arm falls off. And I feel like, too, that this organization is going to push toughness. If you're tough and you want to be tough and you want to take that opportunity, then go for it. It's clearly not – they didn't force Kenyon Green on the field. Like, he clearly wanted to try to play through this, and it was sort of something that he believed at some point he could be playing through it, and it just became an untenable situation. And then by May, that's the tough part about this injury popping up when it popped up. By May, everybody who's worth a crap's not available. Like, you're not given any sort of big time draft pick to go get a better player. You're not going to sign anybody of note. I mean, I went through the free agent signings. Everybody who was worth a hoot signed in March. I mean, really, everybody who's worth a hoot signed in March. So, that's why they've brought in Jones from Arizona, who can play a little guard. They brought in Green from Pittsburgh, who could play guard and center. They claimed the kid from Buffalo, and then they brought back Dieter. Like, there weren't a lot of options once they knew Kenyon Green was down for good, and they clearly believed somewhat healthy Kenyon Green was the best option at some point, because that's how they were operating.
Yeah, no, I understand that part of it too, and I totally get your point. I was going to ask you that actually, like, was there anybody else out there to kind of fill that spot? But the thing is, like, you're also jeopardizing the guy's long-term career possibly. I mean, it's a shoulder thing. What if you rip it completely off the bone? Now the guy's out for never can ever come back to his normal strength. Just a lot of different variables to it. That, and this guy being the 15th overall pick, I mean, man, you're really, really jeopardizing the long-term success for Kenyon Green.
I think that's why he's out there, is because he was the 15th overall pick. Like, if this was a 6th-round pick, they'd have just shelved the guy for a year and run somebody else out there. Like, I think there's an element of Kenyon Green wanted to be out there because, hey, like, it wasn't good last year. It needs to be good this year, so he's going to give it a go. And to an extent, hey, you made that investment as an organization. Let's see what we've got, even if he is. That's the tough part, is we won't ever know what percent was Kenyon Green. Like, if he was 90% until the issue with the arm popped up coming out of the Saints game, I'm playing 90% Kenyon Green. But if he was 50% Kenyon Green, then what you're talking about kind of pops up, where it's like, man, should they have actually put him out there if he was that bad?
So what about the confidence level? Now, I've also heard this argument where, as far as, well, last year, he was getting ate up by all these, dominant defensive tackles. So he's already kind of been through this, like Simmons with the Titans. You remember he went on that long stretch where, like, every week he was going against a dominant guy. But then, you put him out there where a rookie, who was that? Brian Brees.
Yeah, Brees, yeah.
Yeah, Brees just did the spin move on him. He's a rookie. I mean, I don't know his mentality. I don't know how strong his mental toughness is or anything like that. I can't judge that because I don't know the man personally. But to know that if that was already reported about him maybe possibly struggling in that area, why would you put that guy out there to get burned like that,
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate aspect to this lead up here to the regular season that, hey, that guy penciled in as the starting left guard was not 100% since then. What's sort of the mental fortitude that he has? How much does that affect his confidence? There's a lot of questions. And really, I think that at this point now, 2023, clear the deck, clear the mechanism, be ready for 2024. Yeah, be healthy and be ready.
Yeah, it's probably the best thing that could happen for him. One more thing about that, we can talk about something else, but so another thing for me that's really kind of hurting us as a team building aspect is, so Kenyon Green goes down, right? I mean, that's part of football. We know that. You can't prevent injuries. But, you see other good teams, and, I know fourth through seventh round aren't like, top assets, right? But if you notice, like, for instance, the 49ers, a lot of their good, solid players and depth comes through those late round picks. And now he goes down, and you got somebody like Deculus. He can't step in for Green. I mean,
right.
We're over here giving away another late round pick to bring in a guy that probably was going to be cut from the Steelers anyways. So we're spending a late round pick on a person that we cut in Deculus. I think he got brought back to the practice squad. Mm-hmm. But then you give another late round pick for a team's late round pick to help with that injury. Like, man, that Caserio, man, you're going to have to do better than this, man.
Well, here's the thing. If one of those guys works out, it's worth the investment. But if we're sitting here and it just is very simply going to be, oh, well, here's another aspect too. Scruggs gets hurt, and that changes the ability to play Patterson at left guard, because now Patterson's got to be a factor at the center position. Yeah. So, like, if Scruggs was healthy, it might be as simple as, well, we got Jones. He's a backup tackle and a backup guard. We got Patterson. Let's throw him in there at left guard and give him and whatever we claim on waivers, and then you're not trading for Kendrick Green. That's going to mess me up all year. Kenyon Green, Kendrick Green. They're not trading for Kendrick Green. And that, look, another aspect of this, and if Landry ever watches this back, if you guys have ever seen me on Landry Locker's channel, he's going to laugh at me. What does Chris Strasser know about these guys? What does the offensive line coach know about these guys? Like, does he think this guy can make something? You can make something of this guy, back and forth. So,
like the guy Broderick we claimed the 7th round pick, or not.
Broker.
Yeah, broker.
Broker.
You know,
Broker.
Yeah,
That's a draft pick from this year. So Caserio probably had a book on him. He had the thing on Kendrick Green too. He mentioned that they had liked Kenyon Green in the draft process from a couple of years ago. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. But yeah, just something to think about, man. We got to build depth in them later rounds.
Yep.
You know, we're cutting guys and spending another late round pick to bring in a guy because of our injuries. You know, and I know that what was that 2021? He didn't have no first or second, but now we're looking at just Nico and Mills on the team. You move. What was it like? He spent like 20 late round picks for 6 players. Like these late round picks, they gotta stop. He's got to stop doing this. For instance, Anthony Miller. So you give a late round pick for Anthony Miller, and then you turn around and cut him 2 weeks later. Like you're just giving up these picks that can actually be used for depth pieces if you halfway know how to draft.
I do wonder if the coaching staff's gonna be able to maybe get some more out of these guys too, so that going into year 2, year 3 of their careers, you have a little bit more out of that guy too. Because 2 really bad coaching staffs back to back.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Brandon, I appreciate you jumping on, man.
I'm gonna hang tight, man. I'm gonna listen.
Okay, I'm gonna take you out of here, but you'll stay in the backstage. You'll still be able to listen, I believe.
All
right, good stuff jumping in for Brandon. Hey, appreciate the comments here. If I missed some of your comments, the super chat's always a way to get my attention. I'm going to star as many of these as I can as well. We just talked about the offensive line. Well, let's talk a little bit more about this offensive line. Better or worse than when the preseason got going and where it is now? I feel like we're all a little bit worse. Feel a little bit worse about the offensive line. You still got Laramie Tunsil, and you still got Shaq Mason. But since the preseason got going, Titus Howard's hurt, Kenyon Green's not playing, and Juice Scruggs is hurt. So you had 5 guys in mind. We're going to play these 5 guys, is what the Texans thought. And then we'll fill in the backup spots. Well, then your right tackle goes down, then your left guard goes down, and then your center goes down. And then you're looking around, you're like, oh, crap. So now George Fant's the right tackle. They're claiming people left and right to play left guard, and Jared Patterson's the center now. So you've got a lot of moving parts. It's not the 5 guys that you thought were going to start the majority of the year. Here's something that I believe is really important long-term for this offensive line. Again, I feel worse about the O-line right now than when training camp got started. But something long-term to think about here is you have 4 out of the 5 guys you expected to play the majority of the year still available to you. Scruggs can still come back from the injury, end up being the long-term guy on the offensive line at center. Titus Howard should be back at the very latest in week 3. And you've still got Shaq Mason and Laramie Tunsil. So if you play 4 out of those 5 guys over the course of the entire year, for the majority of the year at the offensive line, you should have a solid offensive line because it was a heavily invested in offensive line that most of us, I think, felt was going to take a big jump from the previous years on the offensive line as well. So while I'm down from the beginning of training camp, I still have a belief that this offensive line can get some things going here long term. JJ wants to weigh in with a super chat. Nothing will bring me down this season. Miko, good vibes all year long. All I want to see is growth, which we haven't seen much of lately. Era of good vibes, baby. Era of good vibes. Hit the email. I'll send you some stickers. I literally mail them to you. Go to the post office. Talk to the person at the post office. They know me. I'm one of the only people under 50 that buys stamps. And I'll mail you some stickers. Yeah, look, people are going to have different levels of what they want out of this season. I want a few more wins and people to improve and showcase what this coaching staff can do. But people are going to have various levels on what they want. It may be as simple as, hey, just improve. Look better. Rod MJ weighs in here on the offensive line. This is a good point. I've seen some other people talk about the offensive line situation. Nick couldn't put together an offensive line to save his life. Cannon. Green looks like a bust. Overpaying for Mason. The Britt fiasco. Trying Titus at guard, etc. it has not been good on the offensive line. We don't talk about the Marcus Cannon thing enough, but Cannon was not good. Lane Taylor was another guy that they brought in and signed that wasn't any good. He was a veteran that was supposed to, solidify a depth spot. He stunk. It's not been good finding offensive linemen for Nick Caserio. That is something that needs to improve. And I'd be interested to know if maybe to this point, with bringing in some new people with some new eyeballs, that if the assessment and the way that he approaches things in assessing offensive linemen changes, gets better, something like that. We're firing in alternate GMs now. Daniel Jeremiah for GM. I don't think so. Here's what I'd tell you. If Nick Caserio is gone in the next couple of years, look to San Francisco. Somebody out of San Fran. The name that you'll hear connected a lot is Adam Peters. Adam Peters is the name. Okay, I'll get to as many comments as I can over the course of this, but I do want to fly through some of these position groups. Wideouts, better or worse on the wide receivers from the start of training camp of the preseason to where we are now? I'm a little bit better on this wide receiver group. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, and I hope you do, at Cody_Stoots on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, I was pretty down on this wide receiver group heading into camp. I believe there was some potential, but I thought the overall talent was pretty low. A lot of that was based on the fact that John Mechie hadn't played football in 18 months. I didn't believe Tank Dell was going to be effective right away. And there's some hesitation that Nico Collins can be an answer in the regular season. And Noah Brown's a rotational player. And what does Robert Woods have left in the tank? And I see a lot of people throwing better in there. I also feel better. One, because of Tank Dell. I did not believe Tank Dell was going to do what he's done in training camp this fast. He looks like a viable day one play him wide receiver, which is not something I expected out of Tank Dell. I thought there would be a learning curve. I believed people would be physical with him. Well, here's the point. You can't be physical with Tank Dell if you never put your hands on him. Okay? So he's been fantastic. Nico Collins has dominated in practice. That's what Nico Collins does. He's done that for years now. Okay, He's done really well in practice for years now. So it's not super impressive to me when Nico Collins does well in practice. Let's see it in the regular season. And let's see him stay healthy over the course of the season because he has been injured the past couple of seasons. And Noah Brown's looked solid. He had a couple of days where he was the best wide receiver in camp that day. And then Robert Woods is methodical. Robert Woods goes about doing his business, taking care of his job, runs his routes, gets open, finds himself in the holes in the zone. So I feel better about this wide out group than I did when things really got going with training camp and the preseason. It's not a whole heck of a lot better, but it's clearly a couple of steps up from where I believed they were. And I see a lot of people throwing in a bunch of betters. Kenneth says better. Brandon, better. Kenneth likes him a little Nico Collins. And Nico about to ball out. It was funny. I did my big fantasy draft with my buddies, our 14th year. Obviously, Landry and I both cover the Texans. We're in the league together. So all those guys, some of them live in Dallas or whatever, hey, they're coming over to me hey, what's the story on Nico? Is Nico Collins the guy? Is he going to be the guy? I'm like, man, first you should subscribe to the site. You know what the deal is with Nico Collins. Second, I don't know if there's a number one wide receiver on this team. It may just be one by committee. Yes, someone inevitably is going to get the most targets and the most receptions, but that doesn't necessarily make them a number one wide receiver. It's just number one by committee. Whoever's week it is, it's getting open. We hear hot hand with running back a lot. Hot hand feels like something that we need to pay attention to with the wide receiver situation. The old hot hand. All right. We'll finish up the last offensive position group, and then we'll go into some of these defensive position groups. I'm way down on the tight ends. I'm way down. Now, I like Dalton Schultz. He's actually a little bit better than I believed him to be, but I'm way down on the tight ends. Brevin Jordan missed most of camp with an injury, and Team Quintiriano missed the first couple of days with an injury. And then when he got back, he didn't really show up in any way, shape, or form. Though there was the play against Miami. I don't remember exactly what play it was. I think it was the miscommunication to Schultz on the goal line. I think Quintiriano was flying across the back there. It was going to be open. But Quintiriano hadn't showed up a ton. I'm going to throw Beck in there. Like, he's not a real big, like, oh my God, got to get him on the field. Like, I'm not excited about this tight end group. I believe they would chase a veteran, and perhaps the having to focus on the offensive line kept them from chasing a veteran. But the tight ends, I'm a little bit down on them. I was hoping that Team Quintiriano would take a big step forward. I was hoping maybe there was a lot more to Brevin Jordan, and maybe there is because they decided to keep him when almost everybody believed that the situation was going to see him get cut. So maybe there's something to Brevin Jordan that he hasn't been able to showcase because of health, but I'm a little down on these tight ends right now. But hey, if Brevin Jordan is a little bit closer to the steal that he was supposed to be by dropping to the 5th round the year that the Texans drafted him, if Team Quintiriano showcases some of that athleticism that I saw in minicamp from an offensive standpoint, Quintiriano's blocking was pretty good. You know, I saw somebody breaking down his blocking on Twitter the other day. Like, his blocking's been pretty good, but somebody's going to catch the ball from that position besides Dalton Schultz. You can't have just one tight end that can catch the ball. Someone has got to catch the ball. And I know there's going to be a lot of you'll see this in the offense. Should be a lot of Schultz is in the game, he's the only tight end. Andrew Beck's at fullback, and they motion him into the other tight end spot, or they motion him into next to Dalton Schultz. So fullback / tight end for Andrew Beck. But again, not super excited about this tight end. I do believe Dalton Schultz is going to have a real big year. I've been getting Dalton Schultz in a lot of my best ball drafts in fantasy. I try to get Dalton Schultz in my redraft leagues. And I do believe Dalton Schultz is going to be a really nice fantasy player this year. And that's the perfect time to talk about a fun new announcement for the channel. Our first channel sponsor. And if you guys have never heard of Underdog Fantasy, boy, have I got a treat for you. Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy. They have best ball drafts where you get to do a draft, and then they automatically start your best lineup every week over the course of the week. They also have Pick'em each week. You're just going higher or lower on predicted stats. You put all of them together in an entry, and you could 20 times your money in one entry. They have season-long Pick'ems as well. And as an official sponsor of the channel, we're going to hook you guys up when you sign up as a first-time user at Underdog Fantasy. Boom! 2 times your first deposit when you use my promo code Stoots when you sign up for the first time. 2 times your first deposit when you use my promo code Stoots for the first time. You put in $100, they're going to give you an extra $100. It goes up to $100. You put in $20, they'll give you an extra $20 to play with. And you're going to get special season-long Pick'em options. And these specials are usually like Patrick Mahomes over 1 passing yard. Patrick Mahomes higher than 1 passing yard. That's a pretty easy one. Higher than 1 passing yard? Sign me up. Put that in my Pick'em entry. And then put a bunch of other things together. Boom. Next thing you know, 20 times in your money with the Pick'em entries. Plus, I love the weekly drafts. I love Best Ball. You can still get in on Best Ball Mania. Chance at $3 million if you win that thing. That's my plan. I'm going to win $3 million, and then we're going to have parties every week. Okay? We're going to have parties every week. So, Underdog Fantasy, there's a link in the description down below. Okay? There's a link in the description down below. When you click that link, You get signed up for the first time, the promo code should automatically load for you. If it doesn't, it's right here. Promo code Stoots, S-T-O-O-T-S, S-T-O-O-T-S. Underdog Fantasy, the best way to fantasy. It's the best way to do season-long fantasy with the best ball, and it can be each and every night with the Pick'em. I've already got a Texans season-long Pick'em that I've put together. We'll show you that next time we talk about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, the best way to fantasy. Appreciate all of you if you would check it out in the description down below. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well. All right, we're talking about position groups that we feel better or worse than based on when things got started in the preseason and where they are right now. Let's go to that defensive end room. Now, here's what I'm intrigued about with this defensive end room. Four guys. John Grenard, Will Anderson Jr., Jerry Hughes, and Dylan Horton. Four guys. That's it. That's the entire defensive end room. And I feel a little bit better about the defensive end room than when I started. I believed Will Anderson was going to be good. Will Anderson was one of my favorite draft prospects. I didn't believe there was any way the Texans were going to get him because I very much felt like the Texans had to have a quarterback. I didn't anticipate that they were going to pull off one of the biggest draft day trades in the history of draft day trades and find themselves with both CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. But Will Anderson was better than advertised. Will Anderson is making Sundays look like Saturdays. And that's not what's supposed to happen when you're a rookie. So me feeling a little bit better about the defensive ends is primarily centered around Will Anderson is going to be a little bit better than I expected him to be. The rest of the guys, it's an iffy room. If Jonathan Grenard plays well in a contract year, you could get something really impressive out of Jonathan Grenard, and he could throw it back to some of the success he had. If Jerry Hughes is still drinking from the fountain of youth, then you could get a successful year out of Jerry Hughes. If Dylan Horton lives up to his impressive physique, you could get something out of the defensive end room. But this is a position room with a lot of ifs. Well, that's for the regular season. This exercise is preseason to now. I feel a little bit better about the defensive ends. What say you? I wouldn't go this far. Hold on now. Kenneth, JJ Watt 2.0. Hold on now. Wouldn't go that far. It's been fun to watch, though. Rick likes the defensive end room. All go strong to the ball. I'm not worried about their pass rush. I'm worried about the run stopping. So I wonder if that's the reason Jacob Martin is not here. Because Jacob Martin played pretty well in the preseason and training camp. I wonder if he's just not capable of stopping the run to the level that they need, and that's why Jacob Martin is not here. I know Aaron Wilson reported they tried to sign him and bring him back. If you felt like there was a chance you weren't going to get him back, you don't let him get off the roster. So that to me feels like why Jacob Martin is not here, and actually you'll see him in week 2 because he's on the Indianapolis Colts. Rod MJ, Grenard going to be a breakout or going to be on IR by week 4? Man, for his wallet's sake, I hope that he is breaking out. And for the Texans' sake, I hope he's breaking out. Because if he plays to the level that he played a couple of years ago and he's regularly successful, that's a huge, huge addition to this team. Like I say addition, but like you think about Will Anderson, best version of Grenard that he's shown in the NFL to this point, Jerry Hughes from the fountain of youth, and you've got a lot of options, you got a lot of pass rushers, and you're having some you're having a fun time there. You're having a real fun time there. So I hope he bounces back. I hope he plays his best football. That'd be the best version. I mean, think about where Grenard is. Have an awesome year of football, play really well, and the team with one of the 5 most amounts of cap space is going to be your team still. I mean, they're going to be bringing you back. Yeah, taking care of you. Leo Lopez. D-Roy. I assume this is for Will Anderson. Checking in at about plus 300. Plus 300 was where I saw it the other day. I've seen it as high as plus 450. So bet 100 to win $450 or bet 100 to win $300. I've seen it that high. I will tell you on Underdog for the season Pick'em, in my entry, I have Will Anderson higher than 8.5 sacks. Higher than 8.5 sacks, which, by the way, if you didn't know, Underdog Fantasy's new sponsor, check out the promo code and double your entry in the description down below. But Defensive Rookie of the Year is a bet I will be making on Will Anderson. And he's the favorite. He's been the favorite from the beginning of the odds coming out. From the beginning. Rick with a little bit of clarifier here. By to the ball, I mean they smell out the ball, run or pass. Yeah, that's probably why it's these four guys and Jacob Martin's not involved. That's probably why it's these four guys and it's not Jacob Martin. Is because they stopped the run a little bit better. I see some comments about the defensive tackles. Let's talk about that. I love this defensive tackle room. I love this defensive tackle room. I felt good about them heading into preseason and training camp. I feel great about the defensive tackles. Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins, that's not the most talented duo. Like you slam the two defensive tackles together, that's not the most talented duo. Because a lot of teams have a star. There's some teams that have two really good defensive tackles, but they've got a really high floor to be two guys that aren't, Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Quentin Williams, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. Like they've got a really high floor. I like those two guys as the starters. Hassan Ridgeway is a gigantic human being. I'm excited to see what he does. He got banged up a little bit in the preseason, and really he feels like a type of guy that is most effective in a regular season role, taking care of running backs and things of that nature. So I'm excited for Hassan Ridgeway. And then Kurt Hinish makes this team as the final defensive tackle. I really like this defensive tackle room, and I'm excited to see what their ceiling is. And even on a day where they aren't playing their best football, I still feel like they have a pretty good floor in the defensive tackle room. So I feel pretty good about the defensive tackles. Malik Collins is playing the best football of his career right now. Rankins has got to be looking around like, hey, I come to Houston, I dominate, and then I hit the free agent market and somebody pays me a whole heck of a lot of money to go out there and take care of business, or the Texans extend me and bring me back because I had a really good season and the head coach really likes me. D'Amico Ryans told us in the preseason he'd been chasing Sheldon Rankins for a couple of years now. So we know D'Amico likes him, and if he plays well, it stands to reason that D'Amico walks down the hallway and tells Nick Caserio, hey, let's make sure Sheldon Rankins is our defensive tackle next year. And Hinish as a backup, Ridgeway as a backup. I like the defensive tackle room. I feel better about the defensive tackles from preseason to now. All right, couple of comments here. Roy Lopez is out. See ya. Defensive tackles are Collins and Rankins as the starters, Ridgeway and Hinish as the backups. Roy Lopez is out. I feel like the injury probably cost him a lot. Missed some time there with the injury. Brandon, Rankins and Ridgeway elevate that group a huge amount. And look, I am excited to see how they rotate them, how they use them, who plays what down. You don't showcase all of that in the preseason. So to get that to the regular season, I am excited to see that defensive tackle room in action. That's going to make the linebacker's job so much easier. So much easier. I mean, Roy Lopez didn't play very well last year. Hinish had some moments where he didn't look very good last year. And with the defensive tackles and the defensive line as a whole jumping up a little bit, it's going to make those linebackers' jobs a lot easier. And let's talk about those linebackers, shall we? I feel better about the linebacker room. there's going to be a theme here on the defense. A little bit better on the defensive ends. Big step up on the defensive tackles. Small step up on the linebackers. I didn't expect Henry To'o to play as much as he does, but he's a player that has impressed me with how quickly he's picked a lot of stuff up. And I believe we're going to see him on the field a lot. And if he can go about correcting any mistakes that he makes, and mistakes like we saw in the Dolphins game, if he can correct those in a hurry, they can trust him. They can put him on the field a lot more. Blake Cashman played much better in the preseason than I expected. Like his level of play got a little bit higher than I knew was possible for his level of play. And Denzel Perryman and Christian Harris as the two linebackers that'll be on the field the most. Perryman looks like healthy Denzel Perryman, which the last time he was healthy, he was a Pro Bowler. And Christian Harris looks like a true sideline to sideline linebacker. I'm excited about the linebacking crew. And hopefully the defensive line makes their job easier, and we don't see Jalen Petrie coming in having to make a bunch of tackles. We see these guys taking care of business. And as long as there's no more Jimmy Grahams, I know actual Jimmy Graham will be on the schedule, but as long as there's no Jimmy Graham showing up, these linebackers ought to be okay. I know we talked a couple weeks ago. Let's put a pin in linebackers in coverage for this team, but I am enticed to see, or I am excited to see how that shakes out when the regular season gets here. Because, by the way, 3 really tough tight ends to start the season. Mark Andrews in week 1, Evan Ingram in week 3, Pat Freiermuth in week 4. Like, those are 3 tough tight ends for this defense. The linebackers are going to get that job. And let's see what we got. Let's see what we got out of this linebacker crew when they get going. So I'm excited to see the rotation too. How much does To'o play? When does he play? Who's on the field to start? Who comes off the field? There's a lot to find out about this team as the regular season gets here. Right, from the linebackers, let's go just backwards on the defense. We'll not go out to the outside. We'll go see the corners for last. Let's go to the safeties. Yet again, I feel overall better about this defense. And that's what we've found out. Safeties again. Petrie looks like a monster. He is everywhere. He is everywhere. If you watched me back on the radio when I was on the Wheelhouse with Jake Asman and my other co-host, BK Brad Kellner, which, by the way, you can catch both those guys here on YouTube doing a variety of things. Jake's one of the best Jets YouTubers. I think he is the best Jets YouTuber. BK covers the Longhorns, and you still get typical BK wit. I checked in on his shows the other day, and he and his co-host were discussing the finer points of properly stretching the lower body. It was quite hilarious, as only BK can make something like that. But BK used to talk about Jalen Petrie at Baylor, and he would say it felt like there were 2 Jalen Petries on the field. He was everywhere. It felt like there were 2 Jalen Petries. And we saw it a little bit last year, but we definitely saw it in training camp at the preseason. And I know the team really likes Jalen Petrie. He was a great pivot because I do believe they were trying to draft Breece Hall. And to have Breece Hall snuck away from him by the Jets in a trade up, the pivot to Petrie was fantastic. Great job drafting Jalen Petrie. He was really good last year. He should be really good again. And then Jimmy Ward's a headhunter. I mean, he's going to go out there. He's going to create havoc for the opposing offense. He's going to create chaos. He's going to be tough. He's going to try to knock some people's heads off. He's going to set the tone. And he's seen it and done it at a very high level for a long time. I like Jimmy Ward. And then Murray and Stewart as backups to go along with Graylin Arnold. Okay, nice backup group. I didn't like Eric Murray as a starter. I didn't like Eric Murray as a high-paid backup. Eric Murray as a slightly compensated backup, perfectly fine spot. Perfectly fine spot for him. So, excited. I say this again, overall for this defense. But defensive line, a little jump up. Defensive tackles, bigger jump up. Linebackers, kind of a medium. Safeties, kind of a medium. And the corners as we wrap up the position groups. Corners, I believe, are the best position group on this team. I believe they're the best position group on this team. They're one of the deepest position groups on this team. And they're going to get better from where they are right now. Derek Stingley being in the shape that he's in, showcasing what he showcased in the preseason and in training camp, awesome. Steven Nelson's best version from last year has basically been the guy every day at training camp. Tavier Thomas is a really nice player on the inside. He's been one of the best slot corners in football for 2 seasons going. And Shaq Griffin is a really nice depth piece that can help you out on the outside if Stingley or Nelson can't go or need a breather or need a rest. And then they kept Kadar Holman, who's a special teams guy, played a little bit, and they picked up Alex Austin off of waivers. So a longer, taller corner with a little bit to him from that standpoint. But I like this cornerback room a lot. I liked them going into camp. I felt like it was the deepest position. And even though Desmond King is not here anymore, and he's on the Steelers because they cut Desmond King, even though Desmond King is not here anymore, I still like the cornerback room overall. I still believe it's the best position group on the team. And Derek Stingley is poised to play much better football than he did last year. Steven Nelson's playing some of the best football of his career. Tavier Thomas, we mentioned how good he's been as a slot guy. Shaq Griffin looks healthy, which he has not been healthy the past couple of seasons. So really intriguing and talented cornerback room, which has not been the case for this organization in a very, very long time. So, a couple questions about the corners. Special teams, sure. Thumbs up on them. Don't feel any worse or any better. I guess I would say up a little bit. If Tank Dell's going to return punts and do what he did against the Saints, then I'm way up on this. But special teams, they don't, I didn't even make a little graphic thing for them. All right, a couple of comments here on the secondary, on the starting DBs, things of that nature. Stingley has to make a jump. It will definitely go a long way for Nick keeping his job. Yeah, Nick Caserio, it would behoove him to have the guys that he selected play a lot better than they have played to this point. And I know he doesn't directly affect that, but you brought him here, so let's see what they got. Do you believe we'll extend Steven Nelson? Why did I say Christian Harris? Do you believe we'll extend Steven Nelson after this season? Oh, that's why I said Christian, because your name's Christian. Christian S. Thank you for the question. Maybe. That's a guy I'd have a conversation with in the middle of the year. And if it's really just business and you can put all the extra stuff behind you and he plays well, keep him. Zadis Q. Our starting DB group is borderline top 10 now. Top 10 if Stingley steps up as a CB1. Yeah. I am going to be watching Derek Stingley very closely this season. Not just the plays that he makes, but how many times can they not make the play because Derek Stingley did his job? That's a big element to Derek Stingley's season. Yes, what does he do when people throw at him? How many times could they not throw at him because he played so well at that point? 119 dozen 55. Sweet. Is this a play call? Like, I feel like I'm CJ Stroud. Like, all right, here we go, guys. You look at the little wrist thing. All right. 119 dozen 55 sweat on 3. Ready? Break. Jalen Petry's a gem of a human being. Super, super kid. Give me 10 more of him. Petry's great. Petry, Will Anderson, and Henry To'o are always on their iPads looking at plays right after practice. Always. That's when we go in the locker room for interviews right after practice. To'o at his locker got the iPad. Will Anderson at his locker got the iPad. And then Jalen Petry's the guy, he's got the iPad, he's looking at it, and then he's calling guys over and they're looking at stuff. And so I'm excited. I've said excited 50 times, but that's where I am with this team. Like we have not been excited about the Texans the past couple of seasons going into the regular season. So when you do have a Jalen Petrie who looks like a steal as a second round pick and looks like he could turn into one of the better safeties in football, it does build. And you do kind of feel like a kid on Christmas morning, or it's like it's your birthday, or you're on a trip and you know you're almost there to your destination. Like that's where I am at with the regular season. Like, let's see what these guys have done. Let's see what the production is going to look like after they've put in all this work to get ready. Britain, can't believe we cut Desmond King. I thought for sure he's a starting corner. Either someone impressed or he whiffed bad during training camp. He played well in training camp. That's the surprising thing. I do wonder if maybe there was an attempt to trade him and nobody bit, and they just couldn't wait around and carry the money. They want to repurpose the money. I mean, they've had the, Texans Cap. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's been a little concerned. He's been a little concerned with their money situation over the course of the year. So you save a couple bucks from King, a few more bucks from Christian Kirksey, and if you don't use the money, you send it into next year. So. Ooh, Jim. Hot take of the day. If Sting doesn't play to Sauce's level, Nick is gone. Ooh. I wouldn't say that, but you definitely need a good season out of Derek Stingley to feel confident that you have someone who can be in the zip code of Sauce Gardner. They will always be compared. They will always be compared. Until neither of them are in the league, they will always be compared. And Ayad brings up a great point. If Stingley stays healthy, you should get a good level of production out of Derek Stingley. You should get a really good production level out of Derek Stingley. All right, Q&A time. Fire away with whatever you might want to get to. We'll go for a little while longer. It is, well after midnight, but we got plenty of beveraginos to get to. I actually started with an unnamed whiskey, and I had about that much of it, but it looked like I had that much in the bottle. So when I finished pouring, I was like, that's it? So when I'm done with my unnamed whiskey, I'm going to go to my unnamed berry vodka and Diet Mountain Dew, which is a dynamite combination. Dynamite combination. All right. We had some starred questions from earlier. If you're still there, hope you are. If not, they were worthwhile questions. Jake LeBrun. Don't know if you know the Avengers well, but what players would be the Avengers if you had to pick? Okay. Will Anderson is Smart Hulk. All right. Will Anderson's Smart Hulk because there's a lot of football knowledge there, and he's continuously trying to learn and wanting to learn, but he's also just a physical freak. So Will Anderson's Smart Hulk. Petrie is okay. Petrie's a guy that kind of feels like he's everywhere. He flies around the field. Let's go Iron Man. Petrie's Iron Man. Damian Pierce is Thor because he will bring the hammer on you. Okay? So Damian Pierce is Thor. What is CJ? CJ's got to be kind of one of those. He's got to be kind of one of like the leader types. So he can't be Iron Man. He's not really old enough to kind of make him Captain America. I feel like that's reserved for like an older player. What Avenger is CJ Stroud? Jake LeBrun, I gotta do some work on this. I'll get in the comment section after the video. I gotta do a little thinking on this. Saeed, will Titus Howard be available in week 1? I'm going to say no. He's ready for week 2. Justin, higher or lower 70 yards from scrimmage from Pierce against the Ravens? Higher. Feels like it could be a game that's close for a while. And if it is, you continuously use Dameon Pierce, you can still run the ball. I'll go higher. El Mario, bringing Evans, I believe he means Mike Evans, would cause less playing time for other wide receiver, maybe if at the end of the year to evaluate wide receiver room. Going to do a video on Mike Evans for tomorrow. So be on the lookout. Bolo for that one. And David Martindale. Respect Cody, proud fan of the show. You think not having a proven wide receiver 1 going into game 1 is a risky move with a rookie quarterback? Yes and no. Yes, in that I would prefer to have one, obviously. The tough part is there weren't a lot of opportunities to get a number 1. DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best option to get a number 1, and it just didn't fit for whatever reasons. It just didn't fit. So there weren't a lot of options to go out there and get a number 1. So that's where I kind of give them a little bit of a break because I don't know what they were supposed to do to get a number 1 outside of Hopkins. And look, I was in favor of signing DeAndre Hopkins. I'm down for it. You know, the Mike Evans thing, we'll have a conversation about Mike Evans. Kenneth says that CJ Stroud should be Spider-Man. Sean says CJ should be Hawkeye because he's precise. Hawkeye can put the arrow wherever he wants, so CJ Stroud can put the ball wherever he wants. I like that. Okay. Zeke says Spider-Man. Okay, so Spider-Man was a good one. Devin, this is a good comment. Good thing to talk about. Heard the VP of marketing on Texans radio earlier talking about the style of the 4 new jerseys. I think we're going to implement a new standard of how teams style their jerseys. I can't wait for April. So, best I can tell, 4 new jerseys, and they're not going to be just 4 of the same jersey in 4 different colors. I feel like that's one of the big elements that they want to focus on, and they wanted to focus on. It's not going to be, here's the jersey, here's a Battle Red version, here's a Liberty White version, here's a H-Town Blue version, and here's a Deep Steel Blue version. Like, there's going to be some differentiation between some of the uniforms. I do worry about, hey, did you try to please too many people? But at the same time, more when it's taken so long to get it, felt like it was probably the move from the uniform standpoint. The CJ know the whole playbook. I would tell you probably no. But do you need to know the whole playbook week 1? No. Do you need to eventually know the whole playbook? Yeah, sure. All right, the whiskey's done. We're moving to the unnamed vodka. Cheers. Andrew, look at Reggie Wayne and T.Y. Hilton, 2 solid tight ends, was sacked 41 times his rookie year. The offensive line needs to be good for sure. If the offensive line gives him time, and this was a funny, so Laramie Tunsil on the pivot, I watched that today. Good interview, a lot of stuff about Laramie, real in-depth on some of the things that he went through in his life and recently and getting the new contract and all that kind of stuff. Watched him on the pivot, and they were asking about C.J. Stroud and protecting him, and he said, however much time he needs, we got it. He needs 6 seconds to go out there and make the play, we'll go get it. And, I do feel like if this offensive line is, better than we can see it being with some of the uncertainty at left guard, that raises the potential for the wide receivers and for C.J. Stroud. Now, if the offensive line's got a little issue here or there, then that kind of puts a clear ceiling on the passing attack. Okay? Puts a clear ceiling on the passing attack. Cody, what are you cooking for Labor Day? So I'm going to do probably grilled chicken breasts. So I'm trying to lose a few pounds. So I'll get a little crazy on Labor Day, but after that, I'm trying to cook for the week. Do some grilled chicken breasts. Got the new W sauce. We talked about it on the channel, I think last week sometime. Got the new W sauce and put that on the chicken. Probably do some steak, and then whatever you don't eat on Labor Day, you got to eat for the rest of the week. And then from a sides perspective, Mama Stoots does a really, she can dress up a pasta salad, which is really good. And she'll make her bunch, and then I'll take mine and throw in some more stuff like some cherry tomatoes that I chop up, cut in half, just to kind of get some freshness in there with the heavy stuff, Our offensive line is going to be trash. Stroud is in trouble. Disagree. It will not be trash. It is a concern at center and left guard, and a slight concern at right tackle. That'll get fixed quickly, and the center spot will get fixed eventually early in the season. No, it is not going to be trash. Could it disappoint off of our expectations? Yes. I do not believe it will be trash. Hold on now. This guy's profile picture is me with the conspiracy Cody hat. Ryan Irish Hayes. Sources informed me the Texans were supposed to draft Kendrick Green, but due to typo, ended up with Kenyon Green. Neither one of them played very well in football the past couple of years, so we'll see. This is fun. It's probably the first time anybody's ever used me as their avatar for something. Oh man, that is funny. Can't have this. Shaq Mason's got to take care of his business. If you got to have Laramie, you got to make sure the running backs, fullback, whatever. Got to make sure you are not giving up inside pressure. That will doom CJ Stroud. Okay? Cannot happen. Hold on. Is this about the Kendrick and Kenyon Green thing? It's going to confuse me. And in fact, I made the comment 5 times and I missed it the first 4. I'm glad I caught it the 5th because it tickled me. Do you believe Graylin Arnold should play more? No. Safety rotations squared away. Brandon, you're ahead of yourself. This will be a video next week. Maybe it's on the live stream. Maybe it's a recorded video. This will be a video next week. Week 1, you should wake up live and watch it, Nick. You should wake up live. Where are you that noon in Houston is 3 a.m.? But yeah, you should wake up and watch it. Rick, we have Dieter for left guard. Yes, so Michael Dieter's on the practice squad. And the team can elevate him 3 times. So you can go from the practice squad to the active roster on game day 3 times. And at the third, after that, they either have to sign you to the roster or you stay on practice squad for the rest of the year. So Dieter is, I believe Dieter is going to be the left guard for the first 3 weeks. What happens after that? Your guess is as good as mine. Somebody'd have to lose their spot, and he takes their spot on the roster. But I believe Dieter's going to get elevated and play left guard the first few weeks of the season. How many yards for Pierce and TDs? I'm going to go 13, 25, and 9. He'll run the ball a lot and be successful. I like it. 13, 25 is a hell of a season, man. Hell of a season. 9 to, I got Damian Pierce in some fantasy leagues. I'll be over the moon with this. We have a Dieter and a Dieter, good or nah. So Michael Dieter, who's been with the team, free agent signing was with the team, I believe he's going to play left guard. The other Dieter is a practice squad guy who's played with the Bears for the past couple of years. He's South African. He grew up as a rugby player and an Olympic weightlifter, and then was awesome at Yale, was an undrafted guy, and then played a little bit for the Bears the past couple of years. The Pro Football Focus ratings weren't great on him. And obviously, if he made the Bears, he played, and now he's not on the Bears. Like he probably wasn't that great. But yes, we have a Dieter and a Dieter. One of them is from Wisconsin. One of them is from South Africa. Oh, Nick checking in from Melbourne, Australia. One day time zones will make sense to me and I'll understand it. That is not the case now. But yeah, first game of the season, wake up, or if you can avoid spoilers and just watch the game live, I guess it's going to be Monday for you guys though, huh? Is that how it works? Yeah, it's going to be Monday for you. If you can avoid spoilers, wake up and just watch the game without knowing what happens, I think that's probably the way to do it. Or wake up at your normal time, then watch the game. But if it's Monday, you may have work. I don't know. Somebody asked, how do I get to my starred ones? Do I not have any starred ones? All right. Somebody asked about the wheelhouse. The wheelhouse is no more. Jake, BK, and myself all do YouTube and various other things now. And the station's doing something different. So the wheelhouse is no more. Is Tank starting? Is he going to be out there the first time they have 3 wide receivers? Probably. He gets open. And nobody else gets open as regularly as Tank Dell gets open. You got to play him. Will Stingley be better than Sauce this year? If the refs call it like they should, with Sauce this year, it's definitely a possibility. Yeah, Sauce got some favorable referee coverage last year. Oh, this is a great opportunity for conspiracy theory. Hold on. All right, conspiracy theory. You ready for this one? Conspiracy theory. Aaron Rodgers is going to make Sauce Gardner worse. And here's why. Rodgers and the officials feel like they don't get along very well. Feels like he's a complainer. Feels like he talks a lot to the officials. And I wonder if Aaron Rodgers bothers the officials enough if Sauce Gardner doesn't get the calls that he got last year. There, I said it. Conspiracy Cody. There's my latest conspiracy theory. Boy, that thing is hot. How many Pro Bowlers this year? 3. 4? So if you win Defensive Rookie of the Year, you're probably a Pro Bowler. So I'll go Will Anderson, Tunsil, Petrie, I'll go 3. Tunsil, Will Anderson, Petrie. Didn't realize I was watching Alex Jones. Aaron Rodgers making the referees hate Sauce Gardner. Okay, couple more. Hopefully more than one. Yeah, you and me both. A lot of Dameon Pierce love, maybe for the. Hey, okay, I'll put Dameon Pierce in the Pro Bowl. I'm in. Put Dameon Pierce in the Pro Bowl. Y'all like the Alex Jones? I already do the Mad Money guy. I got to work on my Alex Jones. I can't do it if I'm laughing. Can't do it if I'm laughing. All right. Gonna take a little moment to pause here. Gonna do a little shout out here. Have y'all ever been over to J Bar M? So J Bar M, barbecue and steak in Edo, incredible place. Love those guys. Check them out. And when you go in there and check them out, tell them Cody Stoots sent you. They don't pay me. I just feel like they're awesome. As you can see here, Texas Monthly just ranked them one of the best new improved barbecue joints in Texas. And I'm going to scroll down here and you can see some of that great food they put together. My goodness. I love those guys at J Bar. They do an awesome job. Go in there. Tell them you heard about it on the YouTube page and the YouTube channel and eat you some awesome barbecue. They got happy hour specials. They've got weekly lunch specials. They got specials for the weekends, cocktails, beers, and when the weather cools off, they're going to have an incredible patio. So we're going to do some stuff with J Bar in the future, and it may just be as simple as, hey, I'm going to be there. Let's watch Thursday Night Football. Hey, let's watch some college football on Saturday. But check out my guys over at J Bar. They do a great job, man. They do a great job, and I appreciate their guy Devin, who's the bartender, who's a big fan of the YouTube, and he and I go in there, and I went in there today, chopping it up with him. Good football talk, good talk about life. So you roll in there, my guy Devin's bartending, give him a heads up, or give him a what up, and man, you could have some fun. Get you some awesome drinks, man. That guy's an elite bartender. So check out my boys over at J Bar. And when you go in there, tell them you heard about it on the YouTube channel. Okay? Tell them you heard about it on the YouTube channel. All right, 119 dozen 55 sweet. Glass half empty guy. Prepare for the possibility the run game underperforms. Interior O-line issues, plus historically power gap running back switching to Shanahan offense is a struggle. Certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility. That's where you got to have hope in Slowick, the guys that they've brought in to help install that thing. And just, if Shaq, Scruggs can get back and they can figure out left guard, hopefully it won't be that bad. You have to sweat more if you're doing the Alex Jones. Don't worry. There'll be some times where we'll be on here and I'll be sweating. We'll be sweating. Cody, what college games you watched today? So watched Louisville, Wake Forest, Haynes King, the former A&M guy. They came up a little bit short. Just couldn't make the play. Florida is embarrassing. Watched them yesterday. What a joke. I should have bet my entire life savings on Utah. What a joke Florida is. That program should never be that bad. Should never be that bad. It's disgusting to see where the University of Florida is from a football standpoint. That's awful. That is awful. I'm sick watching Florida play football. Utah might be the type of team that ends up as the class of the Big 12 when they're jumping in there. Might end up as the class of the Big 12 when they jump in there. So, from a Saturday standpoint, I can't wait to see TCU in Colorado just because, Deion Sanders is maybe interested in Colorado, and TCU, Sonny Dykes, one of the best coaches in college football. What can he do when he's had a bunch of guys leave? And let's see if Texas hits the ground running with Quinn Ewers and everything they got going. I mean, Rice coming to town, that doesn't and shouldn't scare you. So you should hit the ground running. Are the Aggies going to get upset to start the year? I don't know. Certainly something that you need to pay attention to. Yeah, it's the Texas A&M always on upset alert. Always on upset alert. The tough part about this first weekend is the big one is Sunday night, LSU Florida State. So we don't get a ton of stuff on Saturday, but somebody's on upset alert. Somebody be on upset alert. So there's some stuff there. Let's see. You should go when UH plays UT. I will actually be in Las Vegas that weekend. That's the Texans' bye week. I'll be in Vegas that weekend. So I will unfortunately miss that. But that'll be a fun one because that's probably the last time Texas is coming to Houston for a long time. Well, I say coming to Houston because they'll be back at the Texas Bowl. But, I mean, coming to play UH at UH. Florida got slapped. Yes, they did. That would be an understatement. Total disappointment if they don't win the Big 12. Total disappointment if they don't win the Big 12. And I truly believe that Texas has to win the Big 12 on the way out the door. Truly believe that. Jim, Vegas, how much for cocaine? I am not a cocaine and hookers type of guy. I am a fancy cocktail, steakhouse, and ultimate Texas Hold'em kind of guy. You know, that's where I'm at from a Vegas trip standpoint. Okay. All right. Almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's call it here. Housekeeping. Okay. Housekeeping. Season kickoff party. All right. In the description down below, there is a Google form. It says kickoff party information questionnaire. Fill out that questionnaire. It asks you when you could meet up, a couple of other questions that are important. Fill out that questionnaire, and I'm shooting for September 12th or September 13th. I know that's not next week before the season gets started, but getting together after the first game, ahead of the first home game, I still feel like that's a fun time. We can still call it a season kickoff as a season kickoff get-together. But fill that out. It's in the description down below. That's how we'll kind of figure out where and what we're doing for a season kickoff party. Okay? I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible. If you can make it, make it. If you can't, I certainly understand. We're going to do a bunch of different events over the course of the year. So if you can't make this one, don't sweat it too bad. But please fill out that questionnaire down below. All it is your email, answer a couple of questions, and we'll be good to go from that standpoint. And I'll try to put together something for either the 12th or the 13th of September. That's what we're shooting for. It's the Tuesday or Wednesday after the Ravens game. So the 12th or the 13th, fill out that questionnaire down below. Okay? We talked about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, the best way to fantasy, from weekly drafts to daily pick'em. Something for everybody with Underdog Fantasy. Your first deposit, if you've never used Underdog Fantasy before, you're going to love it. Your first deposit gets doubled when you use my promo code Stoots, S-T-O-O-T-S. S-T-O-O-T-S. Okay? Use my promo code Stoots. You get your first deposit doubled, and you will get exclusive pick'em options throughout the course of the season. The link is in the description for you to check it out. If you want stickers, Era Good Vibes. If you want stickers, send me your email. Okay? Devin sent me an email. I'm going to email it out to Devin. Send me your email. Okay? CodyStoots@gmail.com is where you can send me your email. All right? Zach C. Get another no-name BTL. Get another no-name BTL. I'm confused. I appreciate the super chat, but I'm confused. Another no-name BTL. All right, you have to explain that to me. I'm over my head here, Zach. But I appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Now I got you. Yeah. No-name liquor. All right. No-name liquor. All right. Maybe we have an official alcohol sponsor by the time we have the kickoff party. Okay. Maybe we have an official sponsor. Zach, thank you so much, man. You're very kind. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So questionnaire down below. If you want stickers, CodyStoots@gmail.com. Send me an email. We'll converse on how to get you the stickers. Underdog Fantasy down below. Check out JBarM. Tell him I sent you. What am I missing on housekeeping? Houston football. www.houfootball.com. www.houfootball.com. You can subscribe for free. Or if you get premium, you will if you do premium, you get everything for trying to find my notebook to give you guys a couple more things for the upcoming week. If you do premium, you get everything for $7 a month. All right? $7 a month. Britain, man. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the compliments, the kind words. Thank you everybody for watching. So Houston football, www.houfootball.com. Questionnaire down below. Underdog Fantasy down below. I think that's it. Lot of stuff coming your way in the next week plus. A lot of stuff. Preview stuff. We'll do some gambling stuff. We'll do some fantasy stuff. We'll just kind of take a look at the Ravens-Texans matchup. We will do some behind enemy line stuff. I'm working on that with the Baltimore version of me. So, fun stuff. And the reason we get to do fun stuff and cool stuff is because people like you. So, Jim, appreciate the kind words. Everybody who watches, everybody who comments, everybody who leaves a comment after the fact, thumbs ups the video, visits Houston football. Thank you so much. We get to do fun stuff like this. We get to throw parties at places like we're going to try to do here in the next couple weeks. We get to do all that kind of fun stuff because you guys just watch. You guys watch, you hit the thumbs up, all that great stuff, man. So appreciate everybody. We're sitting here on a Friday night just hanging out, having some drinks, talking football. What could be better? What could be better? So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for your support, your kindness, your super chats, your subscriptions to Houston football. It always means the world to me. I always want to try to bring across how grateful I am for everybody that does this stuff and gives me the opportunity to continue to do this stuff. So thank you. Thank you. Don't leave yet. I got a few questions. Blue Boy, we've been at it for 90 minutes. What did I miss here? What did I miss? What did I miss here? I give you guys a charge, and it's also my hope for you at the conclusion of every show. And it is very simple. It is very simple. Eat good, sleep good, be good. And we'll talk Texans again soon. Thank you, everybody, so much, and have a fantastic evening. And can't wait to talk Texans again soon.